Ready? Council members, you ready?
Yes.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. We'll call to order this special meeting of the Willow City Council for Tuesday, December 17, 2024. The time is 10:01 a.m. Item 2 on our agenda this morning, Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Busby, would you do the honors and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Matt, and welcome to the City Council. I welcomed Lori at our last meeting, so glad you're with us. Item 3, roll call. City Manager Marty Brown acting as the City Clerk. Good morning, Marty.
Roll call. Councilmember Busby. Councilmember Pride. Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Vice Mayor Hudson.
Here.
Mayor Hanson.
Here. Thank you, Marty. Item 4, changes to the agenda. Marty Brown, any changes to the agenda this morning?
There are no changes.
Thank you very much. Council members. Okay, moving on to number 5, discussion and action calendar. All matters in this section of the agenda are discussed and will be acted on individually. Individuals wishing to address the City Council concerning any of these items are invited to make oral comments of up to 3 minutes at this time. Please address your comments to the mayor and council members and not to staff and/or the audience. When the mayor calls for public comment, please raise your hand to be acknowledged. While not required, the city requests that you please state your name clearly for the audio recording. And as a reminder, by state law, the council is not permitted to undertake any action or discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. Since this is a special meeting, is there any public comments this morning on matters on the agenda? Any public comments? No public comments? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 5A, Prentice Long Contract Amendment to comprehensively update the Willows Municipal Code. This matter is agendized in order to consider authorizing the city manager to amend the contract with Prentice Long for a second time extension until June 30th, 2025 to complete the comprehensive update of the City of Willows Municipal Code. City Manager Marty Brown.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. As you may recall, the council approved a contract with Prentice Long a little over a year ago for to completely overhaul and update the city's municipal code. We've been working on it diligently with Prentice Long. It's taken a little longer than we had anticipated, in part due to some of the turnover with city staff that we've had over the last year, and just the time frame for review and revision has taken longer than anticipated. In addition to that, we have also been looking at the last section of the municipal code, which is Title 18 zoning, and I think it would be prudent to hire our recent contractor, Harrison Associates, to review and overhaul the that section of the code, which will take more time, and use some of their expertise and to take a look at Title 18 zoning section of the Muni Code. And as you know, this fiscal year, I mean, this all kind of dovetails together, an extension of Prentice Long's contract, because of course we'll want legal review. I do think it would be good for the city to also have Harris review the Title 18. But the challenge is that this year in particular, we have some challenges with our finances. As you know, while the sales tax has passed, this is going to be a very fiscally tight year for the city. And after talking to our finance consultant, Andy Heath, we both thought it would be better financially for the city to continue using Harrison Associates to review Title 18 in the new fiscal year 25-26, when our new revenue source will have started coming in by April 1st. We'll be in a little bit better financial situation. And so that's the recommendation. So going back to the Prentice Long contract, we'll certainly want to have a Prentice Long to continue to look at Title 18 from a legal perspective. So it just makes sense to continue their contract as well as part of this process. So today's action is only asking the council to continue for time only the Prentice Long contract in preparation for more revisions to Title 18 in fiscal year 25-26. And I think that's it for me, unless you have any questions. I apologize. I'm a little distracted with some technical difficulties we're having here.
No worries, Marty. Thank you very much. Yes, it looks like it's challenging. It's basically a radio station you're operating over there. It looks like, so, but control board. Thank you. Councilmember Thomas, questions, comments?
Well, the only real concern I have is the extensive pushing back of the date. We're talking about 2026 to finally get this updated.
So
I understand the pushback to the next fiscal year. But I just, March of 2026 is a long time to be looking at something that we started over a year ago.
I completely agree with you, and I think it's unfortunate that we're in this situation. If you take a look at the original staff report that I drafted before getting the dollar amount from Harris yesterday, it was requesting a 9-month extension because it was based on how much time, we thought, thank you, Joe, how much time we thought it would take to both have Harris do their portion, have enough time for public meetings, and also have the legal team take a look at it once Harris had made revisions from a legal perspective. So it was a 9-month time frame that I was proposing originally until we got the number, which was, it's a decent estimate of $60,000 for Harris and Associates to review and participate in 2 public meetings with the council and the planning commission. So with the new proposal and not starting till July 1, I just moved the 9 months basically because it was already, we had already talked through the 9 months before that would be through September 30th. And it was going to be a tight time frame already for them with the public meetings, getting input, then making revisions, then coming back and doing another public meeting for the final draft of the entire code, and then bringing it forward for approval. So since we'd already worked through that with the original schedule of now to September 30th, I just kind of picked that 9 months and moved it to the new fiscal year. And you're absolutely right. I don't disagree. It really pushes it out pretty far. The only other option, I suppose, is to just, for us to review everything that has already been done in revisions by Prentice Long and do a shorter extension, and we'll just have one public meeting and it'll go to approval, and we could get that done in the next 6 months. I wouldn't recommend it. As a planner, my background is in planning, and I think with all that's gone on in the city and all the challenges that we've had and conflicts in the code between different sections and consistency, I think the city would be better served to have Harris and Associates review Title 18 and make some proposed recommendations that will hopefully improve the business environment and the investment prospects here in the city of Willows.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I just don't like our time frame. That's all.
I'm sorry. I wish our
I'll
finances were
defer to
better and we
other
didn't have to
council members
wait.
at this time.
Um, not, no, but there have been consistency issues. There's not, explicitly, directly, this code leads into this code necessarily, but we have had some challenges with consistency where different aspects of the code do maybe dovetail. And this would allow us to apply more consistency by having them review Title 18. And part of that would be just to double check other sections also to make sure that what they're proposing based on the council's guidance and feedback would make sure that that's consistent with the rest of the code. Um, I wouldn't recommend it at this point because at this point, our contract with Prentice Long is for time only. The money has been, the $43,000 for the contract's been spent and then some, quite frankly. So we're not going to get a better deal than this anywhere else, frankly. We are looking at expending additional money on Harris. But just for your knowledge, if you weren't aware, and I'm guessing that Councilmember Pride has taken a look at some of the documents that I sent to all of you yesterday. The next closest bid when we did the proposals was for $130,000. So I think it's fair to say that, yes, it's taking longer. Yes, there's some pain points, but at the end of the day, this is still looking like less expensive than the recommendation of the staff, 14, 15 months ago, of the next closest bidder of 130,000. So, if somebody, we do need a legal team to review it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, so I can't really recommend that I think it's just kind of too late to do something like that, actually. That is correct. I just think we're pretty far in to, jump horses, so to speak. So I can't really make that recommendation. One thing I would say, if it doesn't interest the council, and I think that we certainly could afford to do this, is have Harris and Associates tee up that initial public meeting, get it on the calendar for July, and they could do just a little bit of work of the 60,000. So we're ready to hit the ground running in the new fiscal year, if that interests the council. Because one of the things that they wanted to do, and I want them to do, which is an add-on from before, is to check in with the council and the planning commission. And, here are some big changes and things that we could do that we would recommend that are best practices. Before we do it and we spend money, do you want us to do it? And so that was going to be an initial meeting that we were thinking about in February. But again, because of the finances, we would be moving that to July. But we could spend a little bit of money and have them get ready for that meeting, schedule the July meeting that I would recommend be a joint planning commission and council meeting so that we're ready to hit the ground running. I don't think it would cost that much in this fiscal year for them to prepare for that meeting.
Marty.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt. Sean said that he cannot hear the council members, so I don't know if their mics are on or not.
Now I'm on.
There we
Figured
go.
it out. First try. Sorry.
Sean, can you hear Evan?
I can, yep. Thanks.
Great.
Oh,
Can you hear other council members?
I could hear the chair previously.
Okay, yeah, my mic had been on and then it went off.
That
So
was off too.
your mic?
Huh.
on?
I had to turn mine on. Yeah.
Oh, they timed out.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'll tell you, I'm a much better administrator than I am an IT tech person.
Marty cannot wait for January to come
I
around.
can't. You're right. Sean?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can hear everybody? Okay.
I can. Yep. Thanks.
Okay.
So,
We will go get rechargeable batteries and replace the battery.
we want to do pass the mic.
I could do that.
I can just unhook mine. I don't have a problem with that. Okay.
But got a battery. I checked them all. Yours is dead?
That's, so, yeah, it's working now.
Yeah, at least we don't have the squelching like David was conflicted with.
And
Okay.
It just can't, nothing can go smoothly.
So we're gonna
There's
mic
one
there
right
over
there.
here. So I think my second question to that is, and I think you kind of answered it, is can we piecemeal with Harris to at least get the ball rolling to give that extension until March, but still try and be done sooner than that?
Yes, we can't, I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, so I know $60,000 is a lot up front, and there's some additional fees that go along with that. Is there a chance to work with Harris and say, hey, can we do, for example, let's do a deposit and you work on the first third of the project for 20,000?
Yeah, I mean, what I would do is just recommend that they do the prep work for the meeting for July, and I don't think it'll be a third of that budget. It's going to be a lot less. And when we're talking $4,000 or $5,000 to do the prep, and because the bulk of the work that we're going to be asking them to do happens after July, once they get feedback. So this would just be, here's the prep, here's all the moving parts, a PowerPoint, and then in July, we have a special council and planning commission meeting, and they go from there based on your feedback. So I think we're looking at maybe $5,000 for that prep work.
No, that's it. Sorry.
I think I have a little bit of reading to do on some of the nuances to what we're going on here. To just echo what some of the other council members have said. I mean, I'm a big proponent of plan twice and execute once. So getting the planning stages and everything, and very, very important. My question would be, so hey, if we're going to kick the can to get this right, we are extending the potential for additional code conflicts. How are we able to communicate to the community, hey, we're going to have these conflicts with a level that's going to instill confidence that we've got our arms around it, we're going to get it fixed,
Well, I think that a lot of the feedback that the Council and Planning Commission gives to Harris, assuming that you do move forward with this strategy of a meeting in July, will be sort of where the rubber meets the road in terms of identifying any challenges or consistency issues. They're experienced enough to know the other sections of the code that they would have to look at to make sure that, everything dovetails and is consistent. And so my expectation would be as part of, and I'll impart this to them if the council approves this strategy, would be that they look at other sections of the code that might be impacted by Title 18, so that we make sure that there's consistency between Title 18 and other, there's sometimes things in building and engineering sections that come up that, there's been issues of consistency or code enforcement. So that would be part of what we'd be asking them to do as part of the prep work for the July special meeting. And I think, the special meeting would be open to the public. So, hopefully we advertise that a little differently maybe than we normally do council meetings, so that we try to get the members of the public to come in and see sort of a high level policy presentation and discussion about what are the kinds of things that, the public, the community, the council, the planning commission would like to see changed or improved. I mean, for example, going to Councilmember Pride's point, there's been this ongoing issue with, mobile food trucks. Okay, well, I mean, is that something that, we need to change the code on or re-examine? And if it is, what is it that people are looking for?
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess my just concern is, hey, if we have to extend this amount of time, and if I'm the person that walks up to the counter and says, hey, I've got a kind of a code conflict thing and it's holding my project up, how do we interact with them in a way that doesn't make them feel frustrated, makes them feel like we're working toward a solution?
Typically, with those kinds of situations, first of all, what usually happens is the applicant isn't aware that there is some lack of consistency or conflict in the code. It's usually the planner that identifies it, and then the planner works with the community development director to work through that with the applicant. Sometimes we take what's called an advisory to the planning commission, where we say, look, here's the code here and here's the code here. They aren't consistent. Here's what the applicant wants to do. And we look at it as the planning commission for an advisory on how to proceed, and where there's discretion and where there's room for discretion based on the applicant's proposal. And so, we just kind of work through it like that. That's what has historically happened since I've been here. I can say as a planner, that is cumbersome and awkward and not ideal, which is what the idea of hiring Harris to look at Title 18 is, to really try to get rid of that kind of, cumbersome process that requires planning commission meeting to get an advisory to then do it the way that they've directed, the staff to do it. We rather have things etched a little more in stone, because discretionary decisions, that's what the council gets to do. We don't like to do that as staff. We rather have something that we can hang our hat on and say, it says right here, this is how we do this. And then if there's discretion, we bring it to the planning commission or council.
To follow up on that, I apologize, but so let's say we have a list of those discretionary decisions. Do we feel like we have those in a way that, let's say we get through updating Title 18 and everything like that, but some of those discretionary decisions fall afoul of how we decide to move forward with it? Do we have a plan for how we address those in future code enforcement or anything like that?
Well, I'm hoping that when this gets, when the municipal code is completely updated and overhauled, there are a lot less of those situations. But, there probably will always be that occasional, anomaly of a project that comes in and they want to try to do, that still happens in, even cities with well-developed, updated municipal codes. They still have issues where things come up, or especially parking is a big one, always, of like, do we have to do as many parking spaces as the code says? And, so there's things like that will always come up. But I think, we can't guarantee anything because every project's unique, right? So it's a sort of a case-by-case basis.
Thank you.
No, I just feel like this isn't necessarily an attitude problem from the city council or staff's perspective. We want to get this done. It's essentially come down to, it's a financial issue. We don't have the funds yet. We worked on that problem. That problem has a short-term fix for now. But, right now we're waiting for that to start coming in so that we can start matching the attitude that we have, fixing the problems that we have with our Muni code and some of the other problems that we have around the city. So, yeah, I'm good with whatever you decide there, Mayor.
And I just wanted to mention that Sean Cameron from Prentice Long, who is the project manager for Prentice Long, is here on Zoom if you have any questions for Sean.
I agree with the comments. Yeah, the situation's not ideal. But it's comprehensive, top to bottom. We will. The reason that's been done before, talk about the top. Thank you, Marty, for context. Go with another question. Over there again, there's some delay. Like we said, that as well. Awesome. Hopefully it's possible. Happy. Yeah. Which is exactly why it was 50 years off. However, or any of the other numerous codes. This is overdue. Yeah. Doing the right thing. It's expensive. Marty. Thoughts about errors. And then do the get all the. Many of them. Hold on.
He's muted.
You muted? Oh.
Is your mic on? Making sure. Okay.
Well, his mic.
I know, I'm asking if he can
Oh.
hear him.
I can hear that. Was there? Was there a question? Sorry.
I don't know if he can hear you.
I couldn't hear the stuff from the dais. No.
Can you hear me okay?
Sean, can you hear the chair?
I can hear that. I can hear you, Carolyn. Yeah.
Okay, he's not, yeah, he can't hear what you're saying.
Is that better, Sean?
Oh, much better.
There you go.
There you go. All right.
Well, I guess mine quit too. They all quit. How about that? Okay. Well, there we go. Good morning, Sean. Thank you for
Good
being
morning.
there. I started
Yeah.
with Councilmember Thomas. Rick? Okay, very good. Very good, very good, Rick.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve item 5A as presented this morning. Further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Matter carries unanimously 5-0. Sean, I don't think we have any questions for you. Doesn't
Okay,
sound like
sounds
it.
good. All right,
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Sean. Thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
Sean.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Bye.
Sorry for all the issues. All right.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, no, I
Okay. You
appreciate
take care.
appreciate
Okay.
everything. All
Bye-bye.
right, bye.
Okay, we got through that. Moving on, item 5B, election of mayor and vice mayor for the year 2025. We're going to accept nominations and elect a mayor and vice mayor to preside over the city council for the 2025 calendar year. We'll open nominations for mayor at this time. Any nominations for mayor for 2025? Councilmember Thomas has nominated Vice Mayor Hudson to serve as a mayor. Any further nominations? Okay, nominations will be closed at this time. Councilmember Thomas, would you, this time for the action item now to go ahead and move. Councilmember Thomas has moved to appoint, to elect Vice Mayor Hudson to serve as mayor for 2025. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Pride has a second. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Matter carries 5-0. Evan, you did not vote against yourself. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll open nominations for vice mayor to serve for year 2025 this time. Any nominations for vice mayor?
Nominate Lori Pride.
Lori Pride's been nominated to serve as vice mayor for 2025. Any further nominations?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just realized that seem to have passed over public comment. So if we just want to.
We did not.
Oh, okay.
No.
I didn't see it on the agenda. I'm sorry.
No, I read, yeah, read through the public comment. There was no public comment.
Okay, just making sure that we had that. Is there anyone on?
We don't
Have any
do that.
concern?
No.
Okay.
No.
No,
I'm
it's
just
only
making
in-
sure.
Yeah, and thank you, Carolyn. No, we offered public comment.
Sorry for the interruption.
No
Do
worries,
you want to use
council.
my mic? Sir?
Is this still not working? No.
You're off too.
We have a nomination for Lori Pride to serve as vice mayor. Any further nominations?
I was going to nominate Rick Thomas, please.
Have a nomination from Vice Mayor Hudson has nominated Rick Thomas to serve as vice mayor for 2025. Any further nominations? Hearing no further nominations, nominations will be closed at this time. First, we'll start with the first nomination. Lori Pride was nominated first, so the first vote would be all those in favor of electing Lori Pride to serve as vice mayor for 2025. Signify by saying, let's do it. Actually, Marty, let's do a roll call vote on this. Roll call vote for Lori Pride to serve as vice mayor.
Councilmember Busby,
4. Aye.
Councilmember Pride,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas, Vice Mayor Hudson,
Nay.
Mayor Hanson.
Nay. Matter fails. 3-2. All those in favor of electing Councilmember Thomas to serve as vice mayor for 2025. Marty, this will be a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Busby,
Sure.
Councilmember Pride, Councilmember Thomas, Vice Mayor Hudson,
Aye.
Mayor Hansen.
Aye. Matter carries 5-0. Congratulations, Rick. And Evan. Okay, moving on to item 5C, 2025 City Council Committee appointments. We're going to be appointing council members to city committees and boards for the 2025 calendar year. Before we move forward, I'd like to just simplify this if I could. I would be extremely interested in serving in the same committees that I'm currently serving on, with no changes if that's if my colleagues are in agreement to that. In each of the committees we have, there's a lot of things in the works that I'm currently serving on, namely Councilmember Thomas and I serve on the Law Enforcement Services Ad Hoc Committee. And we've been serving in that committee. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting I'm sorry, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No. Okay, it looked like maybe you had a question. That's okay. That's all right. It's working. Everything's working right now, I think.
Rick doesn't have a mic. Helen doesn't have a mic.
Things are sort of working. But like I said, Rick and I have a meeting this afternoon, as a matter of fact, in reference to that. And there's a lot of significant work to do moving forward. Same with every other committee I'm currently serving on. So I just want to throw that out there for the benefit of my colleagues to consider. So with that, we'll start at the top of the list, Airport Land Use Committee.
I vote Mayor Tom, or Councilmember Thomas, remain on that board.
Yeah, I'm looking from, yeah. Councilmember Thomas, we have consensus for that. Sound good? Rick, you're good with that? Glenn County Waste Management Regional Agency. Currently, it was Councilmember Sprague and Evan Hudson is the alternate. But so, Marty, were we going to rotate with Orland on that? I don't remember on that.
Glenn County Waste Management Regional Agency?
Yeah, does that rotate to 2 members off years? I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
It may, Evan, do you know? I don't.
I thought that was,
I don't, it may stay.
yeah, I think it is that one. And I remember one of those, one of those 3 right there at the top.
RTC
Does-
is, yeah,
RTC
or
does.
transportation is, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, these are correct. These are the correct, for Regional Transit Committee and Transportation, those are correct. That's a correct, lineage for this year.
Yeah, I believe I think it's just the transit or the Transport Commission that does the alternating. I do
Okay.
not remember if the
Okay,
Waste Management one does or not.
so, and it's your city select committee that may come up, Evan, if you like, so. But, anyway, just be aware of that. So for Glenn County Waste Management Regional Agency, who would like to be the member and the alternate this year? Currently, Evan, you are the alternate.
Yes, and does that normally follow the RTC and
Well,
Transportation Commission?
it used to be in a different day.
falls on the
Then
same
they
day.
changed it for some reason to the same day at 10:30. Quarterly third Thursday at 10:30 a.m., which doesn't make any sense because there's already a RTC Transportation Commission meeting.
So it's
I'm
in
not sure what they're
conflict?
doing.
It would be, yeah, there'd be a conflict 4 times a year.
It's important.
I think our 2 new council members have served that committee very well.
Yeah, I'll do it.
What are 2 new? Who would like to be the member and who would like to be the alternate?
I'd like to be the alternate. When we get down to some of the economic development ones, I'd like to be on those. So I don't want to.
Okay, Lori Pride as alternate and Matt Busby as member. We have consensus for that. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, Regional Transit Committee this year, there are 2 members. This is 1 alternate, but generally, that was something that we did last year. It's generally 2 members, and we generally don't worry about an alternate for that. However, we can appoint an alternate if you'd like to. Regional Transit Committee. Like I say, I'd like to remain on that. Evan, would you like to remain on that?
I would like
Well,
to remain on that one. I know I
because-
had missed a couple meetings,
Well, if
but
it's mayor, I mean, it says it's usually the mayor.
Oh,
or
that was
city
just because it was me.
that was
Oh,
just,
got it.
yeah,
I
that
just
just
don't think
That
identified
was,
as.
usually
yeah,
went with
that,
that.
yeah,
Got
there's
it.
some of those anomalies in there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So,
that would be Hudson and you, Gary.
okay, very good. Thank you. And for Transportation Commission, one member this year and one alternate. I'd like to be the member, Evan, if that's okay with you.
That's fine with
Would you like
me.
to be the alternate? Okay. We have consensus, council consensus for that.
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. LAFCO, Rick, one member, one alternate.
I finally get my feet wet with LAFCO, so I'll be
Mhm.
more than happy to keep that one.
Good. Hope you'd say that.
I'd
Because last year we had an alternate and then we had to redo the city selection committee because we weren't supposed to have an alternate. But this
Mm.
year we can have an alternate apparently.
Yeah, it works between Orland last year had the alternate.
Uh-huh.
This year Willows will have the alternate.
Lori, did you say?
I'd be
Yeah, okay.
interested in being the alternate there.
Lori is the alternate. Consensus, Rick and Lori? Sound good? Yep. Very good. City selection committee, Evan, that's all yours. That'll take you about 5 minutes. They'll meet sometime the very first part of January at Board of Supervisors Chambers.
Okay.
And it's only to finalize this, to approve this. So. Countrywide Mosquito and Vector Control District, Vince Holvik is the appointed trustee and has been since 2015 from the city council. He serves 2-year terms. His current term expires, I believe, June 30th of 2025. And at that time, Mr. Neblock, the Glenn County Mosquito and Vector District Manager, will submit information to Marty Brown for city council appointment consideration at that time. Whether Vince seeks another term, that'll be up, that'll be obviously up to him at the time, but that's how that works if there is any confusion over that. And it's not the countywide mosquito and vector district. That's a different district. Vince serves in the Glenn County Mosquito and Vector District, which serves Willows, Northeast Willows, and basically the jurisdiction is to Kenner Road 57 to Kenner Road P, and I believe to Kenner Road 48 to the north and back down following the west side of the city limits, back down to Kenner Road 57 generally. That's their area. The countywide district is a fairly new district. That is not the same district, just for semantics. Any questions in reference to Vince's assignment as the trustee?
Yeah, I mean, how often do they actually meet? It says as needed, but do they actually meet?
They have
And
meetings.
if they do,
Yeah, their board meets.
when do we get updated on what they actually met about? I mean, if we're having appointees or these committee members showing up to these meetings and then we're not getting the information passed to us, what's the point?
Vince provides updates under public comments when they have updates from the.
Okay. I just don't remember one last year, so that's why I was.
Yeah, they
that's why I'm
don't meet
asking that
very
question.
often.
Okay.
They don't meet very often. They have a manager and they have, most of their employees are part-time just during the
Okay.
spray season. They have a manager and 1 or 2 employees at the most. But Vince has served us well on that board. He wanted me to apologize in his behalf, although it's not necessary. He had a very important family matter to handle this morning, which was extremely important in nature, and unfortunately he couldn't be here. So he sends his regrets for that. He called me on Sunday afternoon. So, and any further questions on that?
No.
On our current list, it lists Rick Thomas as the alternate.
Yeah, it looks like the term
body.
doesn't expire until June of this year or next year.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's a 2-year term. Okay, nothing further on that. We'll move to GCID voting delegate. And you saw information I provided to Marty. She provided an email. That's listed in the mayor. The council at the time, I was serving on that council many years ago, moved that position to under the mayor's area of responsibility, just because it's. I know I voted and I served as mayor for 5 one-year terms, and I voted for three times for GCID. 2 were for board seats, And then there was one, if I remember right, there was one district-wide measure that we voted on. So that's all that entails. The ballot will arrives at City Hall here if there is anything to vote on, and then it goes to the mayor who votes on behalf of the city council. So that's how that works.
So that's me then.
That would be, yep. If anything came up, that would be a you for 2025. League legislative delegate, that's under the mayor also. Is the council good with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Library board, one member, currently, Evan, I believe I'm looking at, I have 3 different sheets I'm looking at here. Evan, you're the, library board rep.
Yes.
Would you like to continue with that?
I can continue with that. Yes.
You would like to, okay. Consensus of the council? We're good with that?
Well, my only thought, and it's completely up to Evan, but taking on the mayor role is going to be a little bit more on your plate. And then you, as mayor, you're on a lot more committees. So just a
And if
thought.
somebody else wants to take it on, then they are more than welcome to. I just don't want Jody to think that I'm bailing on her or something like that.
Ma-
Yeah.
Ma-
No, I'm not trying to
The
bail
ma-
on anybody.
The
so-
mayor's gig is time consuming. It can be, yes.
And yes, I'm already pretty consumed on that. So yeah, if somebody else would love to step onto that,
Okay,
then
Yeah,
sounds like there's an opening
I
on the
can.
library board.
Yeah.
Matt,
I can. Yeah.
would you like that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Matt, council good with that?
yes.
There you go, Matt. It's all yours.
Good group of people you get a visit with there.
Yeah, right.
I'm still coming to Thursday's meeting though, at least.
Okay. Matt will serve on the library board. Marty, we good so far? You good?
Yes,
Good.
yeah, we
Okay,
are.
very
uh-huh.
good. 3 Corps, formerly known as Tri-Counties Economic Development Committee, 1 member, 1 alternate.
You know what, that's an error. Because as you may recall, this last budget year, we did not fund
Right,
participating in 3
We-
Corps
we are
because of the
not.
city's budget.
correct.
Sorry, I didn't catch that when I was
So
putting
we
this
can
together.
strike that.
Yep.
I guess we won't know a reason for a
Yes,
committee.
that is correct.
Is anybody saddened over that? Okay. CDBG Loan Committee, 2 members. And that was formed is in the email also, that was formed years ago when we had several CDBG loans at recommendation of staff and council to have a loan committee in the event that an issue arose. And in my time on the council, no issues. I had served on that committee before and we had never had a meeting. Because
I
no
would
issues arose.
propose, since there isn't any need for that we just create that as the mayor and vice mayor, should it ever come up, and just leave it that way.
Sure. Sounds good.
Because there's no occasion, and then when it comes up, then might as well be the leadership of the council at that point in time to sit. So if
Sounds
it takes 2 members, I think we should just make that mayor and vice mayor
Sounds
constant.
sounds viable. Council
Seems
good with that?
logical to me.
Council good with that? Mayor and vice mayor?
Yep.
Yep.
Mayor and vice mayor. Get that, Marty?
I do. I was just wondering if
Yep.
Vice Mayor Hudson had a comment about that because we had a conversation about it.
Um,
Folding it into the finance committee you mentioned.
Yeah, so we had a long conversation. There was a lot of topics talked about. So for the yes, I was saying it right. CDBG Loan Committee. To me, honestly, there's a lot of committees here that can be shrunken down or should be coming from staff reports. And actually one of those that was also on my plate was the library board. As well. You know, we have staff that management level staff member that attends to those. And we usually require on our other management level staff members to give us updates. You know, we don't have somebody appointed to the fire, the fire chief meetings or whatever. But I do think that the CDBG loan committee could be tied in with our Measure I and Finance and Measure I Oversight Committee, considering that what we're discussing are the finances as a whole, and that those are monies that would be tied into that.
If I could ask for clarification, do we even have any CDBG loans at this point in time?
We do not have any at this time, but we did just apply for sidewalks. So if we're
Okay.
successful, we could have one.
Okay.
And we are applying before the end of this month for a planning grant that's also CDBG and that's competitive.
And are those considered loans or grant funds? Because the reason I'm asking.
Yeah,
is
those are
be-
both grants. You're right. They're not loans. Yeah.
The reason I'm asking is in my experience, the CDBG loans were loan programs where loans were actually given to businesses. And so it was business people that were sort of looking at those loans and if they were being paid back. And if we don't do any of those programs anymore, this is probably never going to meet. And if we did have this program again, the city finance committee, it's a different animal. You know, it's looking at loans being made to private businesses, not necessarily anything to do with city finances.
Doesn't it go through the city finances? Isn't that how Rumiana Cheese, we ended up paying them back and
Yeah, it
some
is a
different
loan
things?
process that we have to
Goes through-
participate in.
yeah.
We've had 3Corps, ironically, has managed that loan, but it still does run through the city. I mean, it runs through the finance department.
So then that's kind of my point is it's if it does come up, which it may not, right?
Probably won't.
At least then it can be part of a already going on committee meeting rather than creating a whole nother meeting on another day that's already probably going to have a meeting.
Well, and my
Right.
thought was just, do we even need to have a committee per se? If it's just going to run through the regular city finances, I agree. You know,
Yeah.
it's just part of anything financial is going to run through the oversight.
And that's
of the
why I'm
committee.
saying we can just combine that as part of the finance and Measure I
Right.
oversight
You could
committee.
do that. You could also just eliminate it and create an ad hoc committee if there was
When it
ever a
comes
need in
up.
the future.
Yeah, exactly. My only question would be, and this would be a question for council, are we required to have a CDBG loan committee? That's my question.
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't had one in any other city I've worked in. So that's a standing committee.
Mhm. Yeah, we could always move to an ad hoc committee if we needed one, if that works from a legal perspective.
I don't know the specific answer to,
Now you got the plagued mic.
I think for purposes of today, maybe we just leave it as mayor, vice mayor, or rolling it into the financial oversight committee pending review if it's even needed.
I was going to say, I don't know specifically if they require that. I can certainly look into it. I know that they do require, I mean, we just finished letters in the grant application. They require the attorneys to write letters that they've reviewed everything. So it could very likely be a requirement. I just don't know off the top of my head.
We had the advice of council. That's why we had it years ago. So
Yeah.
how about mayor, vice mayor? Is the council good with mayor, vice mayor? As
Seems logical to me.
Rick's initial. Okay, very good.
Can we do away with the term expiring then on that? I mean, if we're just assigning that a position to it, there's no actual name. We're just assigning somebody's title to it. I mean, is there even a reason to have a term on those to where we're bringing them up from year to year?
No, I mean, it would
I'm-
just change when the mayor and vice mayor change if that's,
That's,
if
I
you're going to
mean,
make it a standing thing.
yeah.
Sure.
Anything further on CDBG loan?
No.
Okay, that'll be mayor, vice mayor. Public Safety Committee, currently Rick and myself. If the council's good with that, maintain that. Rick, are you good with that?
Good with that, but it's in concert with the ad hoc committee.
Right. And then we've separated the Public Safety Committee and the Law Enforcement Services Ad Hoc Committee last year for obvious reasons. And Rick and I are serving on that if we could maintain that.
Mhm.
Consensus of the council, okay, it'll be Rick and myself. Okay, City and County's Economic Development Steering Committee, 2 members.
I would like to be on this one.
Same.
Okay, and it was before it was Claude and Sprague, and Lori and Matt. Okay,
And this one, for me, it's similar to throwing it right in there with the Finance and Measure I Oversight Committee. I'm not understanding the differences for having committees for every, when you can
So
do
this is
one
the
meeting
committee
and
that
have
has,
it be,
are you talking about the city and county economic development one?
yes.
Yeah, that's one that has been here as long as I've been here and long before me. And the entire time I've been here, that committee has never met. So
That-
I don't know what the purpose or
Well-
reason.
well, the
for it.
purpose was, and Marty has sent out the email or with the purpose on there. And if you haven't seen it, that was formed years ago when Jody Samons was a county employee, and one of her major task was economic development. And that countywide committee, steering committee was formed under her leadership. We had two members from the City of Willows. I have served on it before, two members from the City of Orland and two members of the Board of Supervisors, plus a number of staff members from the City of Willows, Orland, and the county also. Generally, our city manager normally would attend at least, maybe finance director as well, and several staffers from the county. It was a quarterly meeting. And we actually had productive meetings at the time and got things done. And Jody was instrumental in bringing some industry to the county. And upon her retirement from the county of Glenn, those meetings dissipated on that day. And Jody is now a private consultant, and we've hired her on several projects. She does great work, and there hasn't been a meeting since. And that was about the time that the current county CAO came on, right about that time. For many years, that's been. But that's the history of that meeting, and to my knowledge, there hasn't been a meeting since Jody retired.
And I just want to add, to my knowledge, I don't know that the county has any appointees to this committee either. I've never heard from the county administrator or from any supervisors about it, so they may not even have appointees
I
to it.
I doubt if they do.
I also doubt they do.
Is
so.
this let me ask you this question. This seems like it'd be right in the realm of what Joe's supposed to be doing as part of our, the city plan that we developed. So would this not be more of a, hey, we need the staff from these different areas to kind of get together and see what's coming up, rather than the council, as we're here to create policy and not direct what comes into the area?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I would just say that, I mean, and I think those of you that were part of the goal setting earlier this year, there aren't many people here at the city who can take on proactive economic development. So Joe has, public works, engineering, code enforcement, planning, building and sewage and facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we might be changing some of that up, but for now. And so it's really only the two of us that could take that on. And it's, like, and when I say take it on, what I mean by that, Vice Mayor, is, proactively out there doing the kinds of things that Jody Sammons was doing is pretty challenging for us at this point. And, like you're going to hear later, we really only have 15 full-time employees right now, even though we're budgeted for 18, for example. We're constantly in this perpetual state of vacancies the entire time I've been here, where lots of people, we're filling in gaps. The people are doing more than just their own job. I hope that's going to change, but I don't know if it's going to change. So getting back to your question, I just don't know how we would be out there, sort of beating the bushes like what I think Jody was doing, and I've had a lot of interaction with her since I've been here, Jody Sammons. But in theory, you're right. I mean, I think what we do for economic development is we try to create, positive customer service at the counter. We try to work through some of those issues that come up with projects sometimes and try to find a way to make projects work in the city. But we're not going to Vegas to the retail strategies conference, or we
No.
also just don't have the funding for that.
Right.
Those
No,
kinds
it
of
just
things.
it just seems like this is more of a micromanagement rather than really the big picture that our initial tasks are of, we're setting the goals and priorities for the city staff to do as they should do, and
Agreed.
instead of necessarily saying, you know what, we want you to lead this way. That's my 2 cents on it. I mean, that's
What
I'm kind-
what I'd like to broach, and it was in the questions that Marty gave us at the dais, is looking at actually establishing an economic development committee or commission for the city of Willows. I think Orland has one that could have a couple of council members on it, maybe have some representatives from the community. Not something to decide today, but I think it's imperative now that our sales tax measure has passed. We need to be looking at how are we going to increase revenue for the city. So I think there's 2 layers to that when we talk about economic development. There's our current business retention. What are we doing to make sure we're retaining businesses in our community? What are the barriers? It all ties to planning and code and a lot of that. But there's also that larger growth. How do we make sure that we're set up and we're receptive when the bigger companies come? How do we go out and proactively look for maybe ag innovation type companies, things that make sense for our area. How do we want to grow? I mean, if we're not literally talking about how we want to grow, then we're going to just be reacting to whatever business comes to our door, whether it's a mini mart, a food truck, a dispensary. Those are the things that are coming. It's a way to engage the community in terms of what they want. So I think having some kind of an economic development committee that, if Matt and I were interested in being on the countywide steering committee, having, a more local committee that would segue into that if in fact the county starts meeting on any kind of a regular basis. But I think if we don't do something, and it's not to the extent, Vice Mayor Hudson, that, we're micromanaging or getting involved, but it's creating that framework for discussion in the community for, what are the businesses facing? It's a little bit of a connection with the Chamber of Commerce that has a little bit of a different focus.
Yeah, I think my personal opinion, the things that we're talking about here, is the difference between being an order taker and going out and trying to find new business. And I think that function for me, I've seen it work extremely well in other communities where that function really should be the Chamber of Commerce because they have more mechanisms for fundraising and a lot more freedom in how they spend those funds in going out and trying to attract new businesses. And so it feels a little bit like a workaround, like, hey, that's not working for us. How do we still? Because I very much agree with you. Hey, we have to really put our hands on this and put a lot of effort into attracting new businesses and investment into the community inside the city limits or whatever. But for me, I think that's in support of and building up a good chamber and having people that are really engaged in doing something with that.
And if I recall correctly, that was the reason for creating the newly position of liaison, council liaison to the Chamber of Commerce, which Councilmember Thomas is the current liaison for the city. So I think it's exactly, I mean, the point of that, my recollection from what former Councilmember Sprague said when he proposed the idea was that the point of doing that was to try to help bolster and support the chamber in doing more of what you just said, Councilmember Busby.
And that was the reason that I suggested we have a liaison to the Chamber of Commerce. The economic development for the city, we could strike something in this particular comment here because they're not engaged in that and they haven't been since we left. But that committee could work towards signage for our downtown and hold some town hall meetings. I had one town hall meeting last year with the downtown folks, trying to encourage them to work together and move forward with some of those thoughts. So if that were to be focused on signage and some other things and also serve as the liaison, or maybe the liaison gets folded back into that particular committee. And is that a standing committee? So then it requires notification?
Which one are we talking about now?
The Economic Development Steering Committee, would that require?
I
posting
believe
of-
so. I mean, again, I've had zero involvement in it. In fact, I have a note to myself to reach out to the county administrator and ask him if he has board of supervisors that are appointed to it. Do they have it still as this? I mean, I think we need to also just do some follow-up on whether this really is, a regional steering committee anymore. Because I'm, like I said, the only time I ever deal with this is once a year when we're
Yeah.
doing this exercise.
So I would suggest that Pride and Busby serve to the Economic Development Steering Committee, that they get together and they develop a program and write us a protocol for what that committee will do, much like we did for what I approached Marty on was the Finance Committee, because I didn't think we should be just looking at approving the bills after they've been paid. So the Finance Committee was designed to understand more about what's going on behind the scenes in creating the proper tracking that I'm used to as a former holder of an escrow license. So I think the two of you just get together and write up what you think that committee should do for the city, as well as be involved in the chamber. The chamber needs to get bigger. It needs members. It needs somebody to get in there and light a fire we've got a pretty good manager right now. I've had several conversations with her, but the president and the leadership are tired, and that's not a statement against them. They've been there and holding it together, and I applaud them for that effort, but we need some expanded blood and some folks that are actually in business in the city to get on that and become a member and work towards commonality of advertising and other opportunities that they should bring forth positive result for the city. So tackle that, write it, make it happen.
I agree with with having Lori and Matt appointed to that. For now, I agree with Rick's comments. And you're right, Rick, about the chamber. Yeah, Colleen, she's a good person. She's a good manager. She's doing a good job. But the chamber is all about supporting business within the city.
They
And,
do a good job
yeah.
with what they have, but they need more bodies.
Oh,
And it's
absolutely.
the same thing with
Yeah,
most service organizations anymore, whether it be Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions, Elks. People are not joining those sort of things, and the chamber is suffering greatly from that same concept. But if they put together some programs that, because they had some bodies to get some of these things done as a functioning board, whether it be monthly
Yeah.
meetings with the business owners, coffee clatch, whatever you want to particularly call it, there's some disjointed effort by everybody's trying to make a living, but they're not rowing together. I think they could row better for their own benefit. And I think leadership from this dais would be a positive step towards that.
No, I'm just saying I agree with your comments, Rick, about your comments about the chamber. Absolutely.
So are we discussing combining the Economic Development Committee and this,
Council liaison for
the,
chamber.
the Chamber of Commerce liaison into one?
Seems hand in hand.
Or we have a committee, and that committee, or those delegates are the connection to the chamber as a liaison. So it makes sense that it's Matt and I or one of us on that, if we were not opposed to.
No, I'm not opposed at
Step
all.
away from
I
you.
think there's probably should be a chair and like the finance committee we established, there's a chair appointed by this body. I think the same would approach probably for that, and let you guys develop that, and the chair be actually the council or the chamber alternate or liaison, and the other one's the alternate. There's no reason you both can't go.
So Rick, your suggestion would be to combine the council liaison to the Chamber of Commerce and to this committee. So
Make it
this,
a city economic development steering committee. Yeah.
okay, very good. City, yeah.
You guys figure out where it goes from there and refer
Figure it
back
out.
to us, and then we keep it out of the short-handedness of our staff. You guys come up with a plan.
So I'm,
Well,
I'm a little confused because we just are taking action on something that's not really on here. So the City County Economic Development Steering Committee, as I stated before, I don't know that there's any appointments on the county. So are you just jettisoning the county side and making it now going back to what Lori, Councilmember Pride originally stated, which was to do Economic Development Committee of just the city?
Could it be one of those situations where they just want somebody to take the lead, and if we actually start doing something with it, maybe they'll do an appointment as well?
It could be. I mean, what I would recommend is that I just reach out to the county administrator and say, are you doing this or not? And figure out what their role is. Do you want to do it? And, are you interested? And that kind of thing. And then see if they want to do something and get back to you. And,
Well, that would be, that in my mind, that would be what Lori and Matt would be doing as the committee members.
So if I may add clarity to what my thought process, let's appoint Pride and Busby to that committee. There's no action by that committee currently with the county, and that they study it and they come back at the future to let us figure out if we even want to keep that or create a new committee.
Right. So basically, we would work with staff to come up with something, and it would be agendized at a future meeting. So it's just kind of saying some,
Yeah, if you were to develop it and present it to staff to present to all of us, that would work.
so you and,
That would include the chamber liaison.
Councilmember Pride and Councilmember Busby are going to go research it and come up with something and come back to the council. Is that what I understand?
I think it would still be, excuse me, I think it would still be appropriate, Marty, to contact the CAO and just find out if they're doing anything with that committee. That would be good information and an easy phone call
Okay.
to have. And then depending on what you find out there, could determine somewhat the direction that we take as a research for what the city wants to do. Does that make sense?
Yep, I'll do that. I have a note to myself to ask them
Does
about
that
that.
make sense?
Yep.
Yep, council could be updated on that, and we can move forward at that time with
And then
further discussion.
along those lines, whoever is the alternative for the council liaison to the Chamber of Commerce, I feel like should be appointed to the council liaison to the Planning Commission as you are discussing bringing future businesses into the city, and that does tie in with the Chamber of Commerce planning and the entire idea of what that committee is supposed to be.
And I really am interested in being the liaison to the planning commission.
So then that would put, I mean, and then my suggestion would be that Matt would be the liaison to the Chamber of Commerce with you as the alternative. With that?
Okay. Were you good with Lori serving as liaison to planning commission?
Yes.
Okay. We have consensus of the
Trying
council.
to-
Lori, you'd be the planning commission liaison. Evan, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, trying to at least group them together so that you guys are getting well rounded from all the different areas that are going to have an effect on what that's going on with that.
And Matt would be the liaison to the Chamber of Commerce. Rick, are you good with that?
Yes.
We have consensus? Okay. All right, Matt
With-
will be the chamber liaison. Lori will be the planning commission liaison. So we have Lori and Matt will be appointed for the time being to the Economic Development Steering Committee and report back on what their findings are.
And then for clarification on the Chamber of Commerce liaison, are we having an alternative or do we just want to leave it as just the one member, no alternative?
I'd say just one member.
Okay. I just didn't note on there, so I just wanted to make sure that we
Are we good
clarified
with
that.
that?
Yes.
The council good with that? Okay. Good luck, Matt, with that.
Thank you.
Sustainable Groundwater Management Act Board, I'd like to stay on that. I'm the chair and we're right in the middle of the groundwater sustainability plan. Well, we're 7.5 years in the middle of it and there's no end in sight ever.
Water's your
So-
business. I agree
Oh,
with you on
God.
that one.
Thank you. Yeah, we just,
Even if I had a boat, I wouldn't want to be on that committee, okay?
I will be providing riveting updates at every month for you as I have been. So there you go, Matt and Lori, something to look forward to. I try to keep it painless. Okay, Finance and Measure I Oversight Committee, 2 members currently, Rick and Evan, correct?
But the guidelines that we created in
Yeah.
that was the mayor serves as the committee alternate. So
Okay.
there are 2 appointments. This was my direction, so I'd like to stay on that committee. And we just need one
Yeah.
alternate or
Okay.
one additional member.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I
Rick,
would have liked
Evan
to stay
would
on
be
it,
the
but we
alternate.
I do remember that we did have the mayor as the alternate. And I believe a tiebreaker if the 2 committee members could not.
that means the vice mayor
Agree.
can't be the
If we-
alternate
if
because
we
he's also the
Get into
the member.
fisticuffs.
Who would like to be the alternate?
Vice mayor's the alternate.
I'm the alternate, so
The
it would
mayor's the
be,
alternate. So we just need Thomas and one other person to be the actual assigned.
So, okay, I didn't have any of this written in front of me. So the mayor will
Is he-
serve as the alternate. I
correct.
Yeah, that was written into the
Okay.
creation of the.
Okay, so the mayor serves as the alternate. So Evan will be the alternate. Rick will be the member.
And they need one more member.
Need one more
Is
member.
that something, Matt, you would be interested in doing?
Don't threaten me with a good spreadsheet.
It looks like, it looks like he's interested. We can say he is. Matt. Rick
Well,
and Matt.
I would,
You just
I
got
would
railroaded.
encourage Matt to participate because it's how we're going to learn about the city's finances and government finances. And you've been here before, so it's a way for you to get entrenched to know a little bit more about the budget financing versus
It's good.
P&L financing.
Yeah, it's a very educational committee to be on. So, yeah, so. Well, Matt, there you go. Say railroad, appointed to that position. Okay, very good. So Matt and Rick and Evan as the mayor will be the alternate for 2025. Okay. Anything further on that?
Sold.
That is all Anything further, Marty? Did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I got,
Any
all.
questions? Anybody? Okay, very good. Moving on to item 5D, David, 2025 proposed council meeting calendar and schedule. Consider approval of the resolution adopting the 2025 city council meeting calendar and schedule. Marty?
Good morning, still. So this item, it is considered a best practice in local government to set a calendar, meeting calendar for the year for the public's knowledge and council to put that on your calendars and just, for transparency. So with that, I've proposed that we continue with our second and fourth Tuesday of the month, January to December of 2025, with the following exceptions. We have, sorry, on the right page. Wow, I can't see this. I didn't do it in color. That wasn't good, was it? For everybody else.
We noticed, Marty.
Yeah, sorry. So basically, it proposes closing at the holidays next year again, like the council approved earlier this year, but putting it on the calendar so that I'm not asked by the unions, are we doing it or are not we doing it? So there's that December 22nd through the 26th, as well as, of course, January 1st. The 24th, 25th, and 1st are paid holidays. So there's that proposal. Keeping in mind that all essential services are taken care of, as we have on-call public works, and fire doesn't participate at all in any kind of closure like this because there are emergency essential services. In addition to that, there's a proposal to take a small recess in August and skip the August council meeting. And there's also, because this year, 2025, Veterans Day falls on literally what would be our second meeting in November. And so I'm recommending that we just cancel that meeting, although if the council wishes to reschedule any of these, we certainly could do that. And I think that's everything.
Thank you, Marty.
So, yep, that's the proposed meeting calendar for the council for 2025.
Questions, comments for Marty in reference to the proposed calendar?
I have a suggestion. Instead of November 25th, which is Thanksgiving week, that we move that meeting to November 18th in the middle of the month. So we're staying away from anybody that desires to travel on the 25th. And then if the December 9th meeting were either the December 2nd and we have scheduled one for the 16th, we can cancel the 16th if we don't need it. But with the 18th, then the 2nd, then the 16th, we have the 2-week separation of the council meetings if we should need it. And if we don't need the 2nd December meeting, we could just simply cancel it.
So keep the 9th, but have an alternate option.
Either
If-
the 9th or the 2nd, or move it to the 2nd and the 16th.
We won't have the issues of an election year. next
No, we
year,
won't.
which,
So
yeah,
it's,
and that was the issue, which is why we're here today. One of
Right.
the reasons, yeah.
so I think November 25th should be November 18th.
Makes sense.
Get it away from the holiday.
Council consensus for that change.
Aye.
Sounds good.
And
Marty,
December 9th, I just had the suggestion of either December 2nd or the 16th. Should we need a second meeting in December?
Those are
but I-
Mondays. Did you want, are you,
Other Tuesdays.
Did I-
December
Tuesdays.
2nd, 16th are Tuesdays.
oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong year.
I was just looking at
Right.
meeting every other week, if need be, but if we didn't need a second meeting in December, we could cancel it. So I'm all right with, December 9th, but can always call a special meeting if need one.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, just knowing that I'm not going to be here for December 9th next year.
Because that's when the same meeting you
Yeah,
just
it's
missed
the
this year.
same trade show every year.
Right, okay.
you won't be here on the December 9th, okay.
Well,
Are
if
you
the
around on
council
the
wants to
2nd?
move it.
Yep.
And with the
the 16th.
meeting schedule, it's flexible, and oftentimes we have to be flexible, and guaranteed we will have opportunities, I'm sure, to have to call special meetings.
If you
periodically.
do want to move it, I would recommend the 16th, because then that'll put like 3 weeks between the one on November 18th and 4 weeks, 4
Yeah.
weeks. And then it also means on the other side for the following year, it's about 4 weeks. So it's right in the middle if it was moved to December 16th.
I would agree with the 16th if we want to just make the change because of Matt not being here. The second would be having to get packets out during a holiday week.
Same,
Mhm.
I
Would be
agree. So
difficult.
November 18th, December 16th.
Okay.
November 18th and December 16th meetings, correct?
Sounds good.
Okay, those will be the amendments. And always call a special meeting if need be. Okay, anything further, Marty? Any
That's it.
Further changes? Questions, comments?
Move to approve the calendar as amended.
Councilmember Thomas has moved to approve the resolution, title of resolution,
Second.
the City Council of the City of Willows establishing the 2025
Oh, do I need to read
City
it that
Council
way?
meeting calendar and schedule. That's good. I just did it for you. Vice Mayor Hudson has the second. Further discussion? Marty, this will be a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Busby,
Aye.
Councilmember Pride,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hudson,
Aye.
Mayor Hanson.
Aye. Matter carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Marty. Okay, item 6, comments and reports. Item 6A, council correspondence. I have none to share. Item 6B, city council comments and reports. Councilmember Busby. You get to go first. Council comments and
Look.
reports.
No comments.
No comments? Nothing? Okay. Vice Mayor Hudson.
Just would like to welcome the 2 newest members. Lori, I know I welcomed you last time, but I think Matt, you're stepping into a spot where we're actually we're headed into a good direction. So I'm excited for you to dive into this and get your feet wet the same way that I did last year. A little bit of a learning curve, so welcome and thank you for stepping up and willing to take on the role. Other than that, I have no other reports other than thank you guys for voting me as the mayor, and hopefully I will not mess it up too bad and stumble over my own words.
Okay, Evan, thank you. Yeah. Councilmember Pride.
I received a text that says some of the folks are still having a hard time hearing us, so we need to speak into the microphone.
Councilmember Pride.
With that being said, I didn't at last week's meeting really say what I wanted to say, and that was thanking the business community for the wonderful Christmas events on December the 7th downtown, and just the outpouring of volunteer support. I was reading on Facebook, Jessica Tapia, who was behind the Willows Winter Wonderland, and just the huge numbers of people that she was thanking. And, you know, without our citizens and our community, you make our town. So I just wanted to say a big shout out and thank you to those people that are making our community the great place it is. That's it for me.
Thank you, Lori. Councilmember Thomas.
Just extend appreciation to our departing member, Mr. Bodden, who was on the council before. I was absent at the last meeting. I apologize. Scheduled trip out of town. Too good to pass up. So welcome to Matt and to Lori for joining the system. And it's moving forward to that good thing. I do feel sad that I missed the events downtown and the tree lighting. It's always a fun event. And the Grinch and all the rest of the Santas and things were, what I saw on Facebook was impressive. So it was good for our town.
It's very good.
And thank you, Gary, for serving as mayor.
You're welcome.
And welcome to Evan to lead us into the next year. That's it.
Very good, Rick. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I just, to echo Lori's comments. Thank you, Lori, because I meant to bring that up at the last meeting as well about the light parade and the events downtown. They were fantastic. I was down there with my family. We were hanging out at Carte Blanche. It was great. It was really nice. Great crowd. The place was packed. And Carte Blanche was packed. Just great participation all the way around, and good job. It was well done. Chamber did a good job with that whole event. The craft fair was I was spent quite a bit of time hanging out down there too. I just kept running into people. It was it was good. It was a good day. It was a really good day in Willows. And thank you for everybody put all their effort into all those different venues, including our very own Tara Russenhoven, who's very involved in that as well. But it's been a pleasure serving as mayor. It's been a pleasure serving with you, Rick, and you, Evan, on the council. Welcome, as I said earlier, welcome Lori and Matt to the Willow City Council. Look forward to working closely with you as we handle the city's business, in a productive, positive way, and get things done, do things the right way, and it's all good. Would like to thank staff for once again. We have a fantastic staff for a hardworking, dedicated team here. Willow's a skeleton crew, but they do awesome work, and that goes for you as well, Carolyn, our council. So, Marty, you and the team, you do fantastic work from you and all your subordinate staff.
Except
But,
the technical part here.
excellent work. Well, you're not an engineer, so we know that, but that's okay. I had to poke fun at you about a couple of times about that today, but other duties is assigned, right? It won't be long. It won't be long. You'll turn the controls over to somebody else. So, but very good. But excellent work all the way around our staff, and just have a very Merry Christmas and wish everybody the best, the very healthiest and happiest of 2020. 2025 is going to be a great year. Item 6C, City Manager's Report. Marty.
Just a quick reminder that City Hall will be closed next week, December 23rd through the 27th, as well as, of course, on Wednesday, January 1st. And we are continuing to be closed on Friday, so January 3rd as well. Although there will be people working here at City Hall on the 3rd.
Very good. And congratulations to Evan and Rick serving as mayor and vice mayor. If you need anything, you know where I'm at. Just yell. So, okay. Anything further, Marty?
That's it.
Moving on to our closed session item number 7, pursuant to Government Code Sections 549, 54.3, the public will have an opportunity to directly address the legislative body on the item below prior to the council convening in a closed session. Public comments are generally restricted to 3 minutes. The item is item 7A, conference with labor negotiators, Section 54957.6 of the Government Code. Agency designated representatives are Marty Brown, City Manager, and Carolyn Walker, City Attorney. The employee organizations are UPEC, Fire and General Bargaining Units, and Management. Are there any public comments in reference to item 7, the closed session matter, before we move into closed session? Any public comments? No public comments. There are no members of the public here in the audience at this time. The time is, looks like it's, let me get my antique watch out here. Time is 11:30 a.m. and we'll be moving into closed session at this time.